that are very important, but they give off heat. What the fuck do we do with it? Oh, hey, by the way, we also have homes that need...
Yeah. If by the way that you do want to read some other stuff by me, like, I'm a complete imbecile and I don't know what the fuck we're doing, and oh, by the way, we are going to completely do a whole load of racist. Oh, and by the way, other thing, I kind of said jokingly that, you know, in past videos, well,
And he's like, see you dead, so we're going to process you. By the way, you keep feeling everything in your body, so, you know,
justify going to war. And oh, by the way, did you happen to know that Osama bin Laden was actually trained by
twitter.com /FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com /. You have to basically become dependent on benefits and benefit sanctions, and oh, by the way, if you get a benefit and needing to pay down the deficit, which, by the way, he fucked that up. Yes, the analogy of fixing the roof when the sun is out, because it's this little sort of notation that's put in of, oh, by the way, I own copyright over these people. I own the patent stuff.
You know, there is going to be a review of the Communist Manifesto. I am reading through Transmetropolitan right now. By the way, Transmetropolitan is... And I can confirm, by the way, I have never, ever had a hamster called Kevin.
Mr. McCoy's doctor and his regeneration story. Oh, and by the way, it's a movie, so we have to make it all about the money.
Was watching Tokyo Drift. Tokyo Drift, by the way, is
I mean, Fast and the Furious and Tokyo Drift, they're all sort of, you know, I'm calling Bill O'Reilly's bluff. Now, I do realise, by the way, that I am deciding to pick a fight with a country.
Picked up his laptop and climbed back out again. And this was a top window, by the way. This was the kind of window that's basically there.
Or by a third, I don't know, you know, it's like, you need to do it at such a scale whereby votes matter. The way, I am anti-guns. Oh, and by the way, America, get rid of your fucking guns already. Oh, and by the way, you're killing everybody. It's not going to be fun having to say, oh, by the way, I decided that instead of going on benefits, I'm gonna live on her hands and feet free, and pulled out the steak knife and applied pressure to the wound. I'm Lucy, by the way, said Lucy. Lucy Dance. I was sent here by the Farshnook to...
Yeah, there is no way, by the way, that this video is getting ad-supported in any way.
So my mum cut my hair. My mum, by the way, who has an essential tremor, which means her hands always shake. You'd know about them as a person, and then it'd be, oh, by the way, I've consensually recorded these videos of me to spread it all throughout the internet because 4chan's insane, right? It's never gonna happen, by the way. Never, like, genuinely, right? Have a Twitter, twitter.com /FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com /. I think that actually polyamory, and polyamory, by the way, is liking to have, you know, more than one. Have this shitting argument every goddamn time because you're all so right-wingers. By the way, there will be an official Alexander Gordon Jahans. George Osborne, the fucking coke snorter, who also fucked a pig, by the way, because all the boys at the Bulling... That was fucking lovely, that was. That was sarcasm, by the way. Now let's clear up something. But absolutely, you can't tell these people, oh, by the way, your entire culture was created.
And so when you are feeling it, but by the way, if you're wondering what I keep getting distracted by,
Get rid of guns! Fuck guns, America! Get rid of guns! Just like monthly, every single month. By the way, just so we're clear, all guns go SHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com/FARSHNUKE. And I mean, this is the problem, by the way, that I am having at the moment. Okay, with my who is fucking as true to their goddamn principles, which, oh, by the way, is why Donald Trump is also a fucking terrible idea. By the way, the reason I'm doing this is because I think he's got a tick.
like fucking moron. Oh, it's okay, I'll pay for it, she'll pay me back. Which, by the way, is basically Trump's plan to make America
all the space, everywhere and anywhere, all the missing Doctor Who episodes. Where do you want to start? Oh, by the way, it comes with this, and she dangles the collar. From Logitech.com. These are sponsors. Visit their site. Oh, and by the way, while we're here, go on to Amazon. Didn't have such a good turnout, so they all got rounded up and tortured and killed. Oh, and then, by the way, there was this bit that was like Star Wars. The welfare bill, by the way, that is pledging to remove the government's legal Weird, she says. I'm Ruby, by the way. Is there something wrong with the central heating? I feel very... It's okay. Well, and that's entirely why she tried to steal it without telling me. So yeah, it was a strange... But by the way, if you're wondering what I just cut off there, we'll destroy you. And then he reveals, oh, and by the way, I am that weapon. And the Doctor is just like, because he wants to steal the Sixth Doctor's remaining regenerations. And it's, by the way, I have no idea how that fits into canon. None at all. And now they are cracking down on immigration, which means, oh, by the way, we can't replace all of, I suppose you call the police. The police, who, by the way, when they tried to, this is an old one, an old topic, by the way, but he was talking about, this
way, that's when Donald Trump becomes president. Oh, by the way, that's when Brexit happens. Oh, by the way, that's when the trolls... Ah! Look! The thing is true of the thing! The opening, by the way, is the best. The best.
Two easily falsified pieces of evidence, and then 90 seconds later said, oh, by the way, that's all bullshit. I've just made it up to see... Has been saying, oh, by the way, I think austerity is wrong. We need a universal basic income and we should stop investing in London. Which is, oh, by the way, Carthage should be destroyed. Oh, by the way, Carthage should be destroyed. At the end of every video. Oh, by the way, Carthage should... So, let's do this. By the way, the reason I've gone for Argonian this time around is twitter.com /FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com /FAR.
Yes, I have had my haircut, and I am drinking ginger beer, and this, by the way, got this from Amazon. Watch it, fine.
You only need a TV license if you want to watch it live, and oh, by the way, if you watch it live, it's gonna be...
And it's 10 minutes in. It's 10 minutes in. This point, by the way, is the point where most people who comment on my channels would already be
Must destroy them. Oh, by the way, Arabia must be destroyed. It's just fucking stupid. Like I say, like it reached 500 subscribers right around the time that my dad said, "Oh, by the way, I'm cutting all the support for you."
runs away and Clara goes off being immortal with another immortal. And now, by the way, she's bisexual. So, yay, immortal, ever young. Consult the fucking map. The map, by the way, which is incredibly unfucking helpful. And that, by the way, is why I'm okay.
So they have a means testing system, which is corporate, by the way. And this system, if you are deemed fit to work, loaded. Oh, and by the way, triggers like everywhere, kind of, you know, because
with him, and that's going to happen very, very soon. In fact, and I'm bisexual, by the way, not gay, bisexual, and I very still thinking. Oh, by the way, since apparently people can't actually consider that I have a Patreon is basically like saying, oh, by the way, you know you could at any point give me some money if you wanted to. Transphobia, homophobia, blah, 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 blah. And by the way, I am actually autistic and bisexual. I'm regretting the way I am describing this story, by the way, but sorry, it's because I know what comes next. So,
same basic principle. It's just that by the time you've paid back 1,000,000% extra in interest, oh, by the way, yeah, you've cleared it. You don't health-wise, it can turn out, oh, by the way, yeah, some tests have been done. It turns out this thing is busted, that thing is busted. Turn up early, and it's like, if I'm too early, fucked. And obviously, all of the letters are like, oh, by the way, if you don't turn up, or if you are late. Oh yeah, that's my new catchphrase, by the way. I'm moral and middle class. I'm moral and middle class. It's because I'm moral and middle class. I'm moral.
Intelligence to be developed. Oh, and by the way, I will have the kinkiest life imaginable, and also because I'll be who come to my channel and say horrible things. So if someone adds me on Steam and says, oh, by the way, I'm a National Socialist,
they behave towards other people, that maybe doesn't change their personality, but just, oh yeah, by the way, this is who I really am.
Pillar, a painkiller, and all this kind of stuff. But oh, by the way, you're buying it from a dodgy dealer who's gonna just, talk casually about something nice. It's never, oh, by the way, have you seen that new piece of really cool technology?
Because the American media very much can just say, oh, by the way, don't worry about the person who did the shooting this time, because
or not. But I know you guys are here because you're gonna send me death threats. Oh, by the way, before I go,
it's a really good audiobook. All of these ones are audiobooks, by the way. Noughts and Crosses is very in the middle of this grim dark thing, just kind of basically being like, oh yeah, by the way, my fiction.
By the way, I've been listening to Modest Mouse whilst I've been doing the off-camera stuff. There, gravel.
Oh, by the way, I finally kicked Minecraft. finally quit it. I have finally quit
of his attempts to crack down on welfare fraud, which, oh, by the way, is also costing us more money than letting the people commit.
ice floe crossing a river when, like, these monsters that are after them, which, by the way, this introduced me to the spoon one for by basically ending every single speech he did in the Senate saying, oh, and by the way, I think Carthage should be destroyed. If I get bored of them like I've gotten bored of Half-Life 2, then they will fall by the wayside. But I want... there will certainly be Minecraft and... Drake releases a single, essentially, like, saying as part of it, oh, by the way, Milk... oh, by the way, Meek.
So I got distracted by the way I worded that. Yes, pretty unconsenting women, and I know that.
Telegraph. Telegraph, by the way, is a highly right-wing paper that the executive.
Size 10.5, by the way. That they're gonna, win this war against the separatists. And then, oh, by the way, I suppose it might be freebooting, except you don't get paid for tweets, but, either way. An interesting thing saying that basically oh, by the way, Carthage should be destroyed. At the end of every video, oh, by the way, Carthage should be destroyed. Oh, look at this. Movie maker. And then I'm going to continue the fucking questions. By the way, apologies for the sound. Although, by the way, I am, for my sins, going to be listening to that fucking Daily Show segment on Esotype Fantasy, where I'm in control and everything is nice and light and fluffy, except, oh, by the way, because of my whole writing struggle, when the most upon a country that had always been monarchical. Oh, and was, by the way, very, 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 very young. What the... This strip panel is hilarious writing, by the way, and the artwork on a machine or whatever. You press that, all stop, disengage. Right. This actually, by the way, is why 50 Shades of Grey. Well, there is this thing that is written into the contract of the deal saying, oh, by the way, I own these people. They might have all Russia and America on opposite sides of a hot war. And this, by the way, is happening whilst you've got clone of Lucy as a pet because weirdness. Spoilers, by the way. And it's this weird thing of like
had a thought, and name's different by the way, but no, I had a thought, right, and I realised it was just one sort of, except what I will do is use green screen so I can have my TARDIS, which by the way is looking bloody fantastic and it's now just on to the finish.
Tools, because we're going to be nostalgic. The seed, by the way, is sharksploitation.
President fucking Erdogan. President Erdogan, by the way, elected under first past the post.
Artists themselves are massive, glowing egotists. That's a joke, by the way. I know. I went to a working with artists panel. I know that
writing this story at the moment is it's called the Were-Sylph Invasion, by the way. The Were-Sylph Dawning.
And that's when you get River Song. She's starting her archaeology degree. Oh, by the way, you're gonna need to wear this. And they have to become the royalty of the world. And oh, by the way, there's Legisios flying above. nudge nudge, wink wink, Wikipedia sort of here. Oh, and by the way, word of canon, word of God. When I can to kind of do stuff, but those tend to go by the wayside as things go on. There may be breaks, and see you guys later. By the way, just so you know, don't try to hook me right before you say something. You should try and mix up your stances, I think. I've also vote green, by the way. What happens? I end up recording a video talking about the Iowa caucus. Oh, by the way, it was decided on 6 different coin tosses.
Congrats to Sparky, by the way. He's got
out there, you know, coordinating the fight on the front lines, and the Jafaxi Coolamancy is, you know, Jafaxi Coolamancy, oh, by the way, is the woman who feel like that's the sort of way to do it, right? Safe, challenging space.com. And this, by the way, free idea. Someone make it happen. One is Christopher Epstein waltzing on there saying, by the way, I'm the Doctor, run for your life. What you want is to have throwers on its tentacles. And oh, by the way, they've got amazing regenerative abilities as well. Like, they are meant to be terrible. Fuck the fucking NRA. Ban all guns. Ban all guns. And by the way, the reason that I using my phone as a torch when I shouldn't have been, and it broke. This by the way is Mr. Brokey phone. And you're actually a woman, so get used to the fucking discrimination. And by the way, your pay packet is going to be less because essentially it was shit on top of shit on top of shit on top of shit. And oh, by the way, I'm going to kick you all down. Your fucking essay and screed on how I should go kill myself in the comments. So and by the way, just so we're clear, that would be the right wing. This orb containing the sort of the soul of the Farshnip. The soul of the Farshnip, by the way, at this point, right, even if he can't necessarily walk into a shop and buy a gun, which, oh, by the way, he totally can, and there are multiple examples of this, like, the latest fashions, eat at the greatest restaurants, and oh, by the way, I own your body. Right? That's a very different thing.
It's all women, it's gonna be boring. And this was a female friend, by the way, so that's why Cowboy's staying around, because
Twitter.com / FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com / FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com / FARSHNUKE. It was because I said, oh, by the way, I am writing a story where I get tamed and kept as a pet sylph. And it will be, he's a cunt who does some very cunty things. And by the way, the only reason why I'm using the word cunt is because it is regarded a crossroads I have no power over, by the way. I have no power in this situation. It's just that kind of trees. I didn't want to. That's the truth, by the way. I didn't want to add all of these great arcs and subplots and all this. I need testosterone injections every 3 months for the rest of my life until the day I die. And by the way, I'm just a song. There was a song by Badil and Skinner. Frank Skinner, by the way, this is stupid to try and control you, to manipulate you. He will outright say, oh, by the way, I've been fucking you up. Or 2 months. God, I love many a TrueNet. He is awesome. He is awesome. Oh, and by the way, of the factions on this, this is referring to West of Dawning, by the way.
not sure if I mentioned that. Drunk, not entirely thinking straight. That he's losing everything. That he's breaking every single fucking election pledge. Oh, and by the way, you realise that they actually had as a pledge
Starter set. This, by the way, is what the book looks like. Yes. This starter set seems to be.
Don't need to freak out about those people who don't have to work so hard because, oh, by the way, they're getting paid just as much as you are.
I went to the library, I read books, I discovered Danny Wallace's Yes Man. And he is awesome, by the way. Play Thomas.
Twitter.com / FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com / FAR. And that she's, got a... Sorry, that was me closing Skype. By the way, why does Skype, the big evil, is fucking Donald Trump? Donald Trump, by the way, a man whose business prowess is actually further and further to make money for themselves and their mates. And this, by the way, a government that the majority of our country do not. And I suppose I'd like to write some scripts. Oh, by the way, if you wondered what that was, then that random set of noises. If he gets it stolen from him, which, by the way, the Republican Party are clearly trying to do. Mentally screwed up by this because, oh yeah, by the way, I have mild Asperger's syndrome, so I'm not so good at sorting out social cues. This, by the way, is such an example of how fucking white privilege I am that I'm feeling optimistic. Yeah. That's austerity gone by the wayside. Just wanted to get this out there, just wanted to tackle such that by the time, if ever you can get out of the horrible situation, oh, by the way, you're also in debt, and, you've got to pay back days of being a full-on dickhead and, doing some very horrible stuff, which, oh, by the way, you're going to see that in a series at some point when I get in her own fucking home because of that goddamn man. That goddamn man who, by the way, is like 5 fucking meters from my... By the way, that's when Brexit happens. Oh, by the way, that's when the trolls find out where you live. Oh, by the way, people understand that. By the way, if you can hear my mother squealing, that is because there is a cat outside. They prevent you from waiting early. And that's not good, by the way, if you have a mother who has anxiety and insists I have sort of read or whatever. That even that is ultimately, oh yeah, by the way, your entire life you've been raised to die. And Smith's death is really well played, by the way, and it did kind of shock me because he saw. Yeah, this, by the way, is why I am avoiding Falkreath. Because Riften is the thing. A woman, your body will change to reflect that. And oh, by the way, we've also got a pill that'll turn you back to being a man. Episode 100 or whatever of the Digital Drift podcast or whatever. Because, oh, by the way, they basically what they're trying to do is extract what is relevant to the reader, which, by the way, is not the same thing as truth, because... Oh, and, by the way, just remembered, I'm going to be making and uploading... Bloody glad I have finished watching it, because it was also tedious as all fucking shite. Oh, and by the way, yes, I've been up for an awful long time. At this point, the United Civilizations of the multiverse is fucking massive. And oh, by the way, not going in our favour in the fucking slightest. Oh, and by the way, yeah, people like the SNP are actually... I've been working away and it's been cool and fun. I did actually try a little bit of super hostile, by the way. Waking up. Stop aging, they have regenerative abilities, super strength, speed, stamina, etc. But oh, by the way, there is a catch. Tea and grotty and not good. You will be pleased to hear, by the way, that I'm drinking nice, honest, fighting this forever war, keep the country safe. But oh, by the way, they run their empire basically on the... So that'll be fun. Oh, and by the way, I've done some research, right? And Minecraft is my most popular content. Only are they at severe risk of killing themselves because, oh, by the way, even on the NHS, you basically can get treatment for being trans or for depression.
Know this now, right? And if you don't know, by the way, the Turing test was devised by Alan Turing.
The latest in the very best medical help. But, oh, by the way, between the ages of 25 and 35... At least I don't break up the middle of the video to say, by the way, listeners, do you like Logitech headsets? Because if you do...
My nose runs basically all the time. That also, by the way, is why I am not great at sports. Right? Partly it's poor hand-eye coordination.
By the way, kids, since it's the summer, remember to drink lots of squash to keep that hot water in. But if you are going to shoot people up, you are going to cause issues with us. And yeah, by the way, we're your parents. America, by the way, is the only country to have ever used a nuclear bomb in a war. With Syria, which, oh, by the way, Russia's interested in, so you are now in a hot nuclear war with goddamn Russia. Which, by the way, was very shit. Have you listened to Radio Free Sky, by the way? You know, what my experience at school is the reason I am so... I was listening to this while it ran. By the way, getting Lord of the Rings on audiobook, really expensive. Because... my review of Saturday and kind of how it began. So obviously, by the way, if you do watch this, you feel free to. And so I can't easily tell. Oh, by the way, the people who claim to be supporting this political movement,
Don't attend, then the money that you get could be affected. And that's basically saying, oh, by the way, if you don't do exactly as we say...
Of course, the nose and the mouth are connected. And I know this for a fact because I was... The reason, by the way, that I do happen to snort like that is because I did have...
Quite enjoyable, really. That sort of thing. By the way, bad day on Mount Olympus is actually
power, because, well, he says he's going to build the world. By the way, did you know my cousin, one of the
is coming over. I have no idea what accent was, by the way. I never do. And so I kind of always like to just ignore my girlfriend. I am dissecting you atom by atom, you understand? Fair enough, said the Farshnik. Jim said, oh, by the way, Farshnik, my boy, I was getting messages on my phone saying, oh, by the way, someone has tried to reset your Facebook password. Someone has tried to have a Twitter, twitter.com FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com/.
way, there's not an issue here. It's actually a very cheap piece of kit. And by the way, I'm broadcasting it to the police, and please don't hurt,"
said Miss Ulanova. Ulrich Kuperkoch, by the way, I am mangling all the names. Ulrich Kuperkoch wanted to. Just means a hunk of debt to pay off and 3 years of your life wasted. Oh, by the way, you're more likely to be killed by the benefits system. After I had done a blog on the subject and after I'd done a video on the subject just saying, oh, by the way, this is a thing, and people are there.
my dream job, my dream job as a writer. And then you also said, oh, but by the way, if you turn this down, we'll...
First, that way you can ensure that things won't melt. The ice won't do. And these, by the way, are what we have to do. Complete the monument, make cobble generator. I will harvest these off screen. And so I've built a little area here. By the way, this area that exists wasn't just had to compensate for anything, but the brass balls of a man to say in The Guardian, oh yeah, by the way, you know, don't believe the media because you're the doctor, I'm psycho, I'm programmed to kill you, so I'm gonna kill you. Oh, by the way, I've been shot by Hitler, so I'm gonna regenerate into reverse. And said, Allahu Akbar, right? Which, by the way, Christians also say, because, yeah, puberty at the moment, so lots of voice cracks, sorry. 23, by the way, 23. So, anyway, so there is a device. I'm going to go and do this because this story is happening now. Oh, and by the way, I'll also fill you in about bits about the past as they crop back up.
Really have to think about that, and then kind of people will just drop landmines on you and say, oh, by the way, what about
these and sharing videos? How can that be possibly phishing? And phishing, by the way, this is PHIS. The hate base that is attacking me on Twitter legitimately believes. By the way, that is hilarious. They're like, we shall be dying at the front lines of a war that can only be conclusively won by the bad guys. Oh, and by the way, every woman in this room, every woman in this world, and
well, I suppose, yeah, the reason, by the way, I did this, I had this move around, was because
we're already fucking them up. Let's put them there. And the reason, by the way, that we managed to install these places in the Middle East is because
so that you can offer a grand and golden opportunity, but oh, by the way, people are still people, and they are still fundamentally going to decide who is
friends involved and sort of say, hey, here's your turn. And if, by the way, you are over 18 years of age, and you want to, yes, go buy this game. It is awesome. And just by the way, you can, if you so wish, sponsor me.
And then, and so it's like, yeah, I'm taking one of your cities, by the way, but you can live. And,
that's not to do with me being left-wing, by the way. That's to do with me being a lazy fucking arsehole. Two things.
You know, I mean, that's a Frankie Boyle joke, by the way. Because due accreditation. But, like, seriously.
I did. I've got so many problems at the moment, and I can do so very little to help it. Which, by the way, guys, you know, guns are fucking up America, and there is a serious fucking problem. Yeah, but by the way, that is something you are just gonna have to get you fucking, you know. I've even got my ginger beer. This won't be good, by the way. This is what I'll drink beforehand, so I don't, you know, get
the structure. So the reason, by the way, for the delay between the structure was Hunchback has said the hidden in the basement. Anyway, that was a joke, by the way. Anyway, so Paul Humour,
bombs are nonsense, isn't it? I genuinely believe that, And oh yeah, by the way, I'm an atheist, and the Islamic country to 100 pickpocketing. And pickpocketing, by the way, is awesome, not just because it's an easy way to make money.
But yeah, stuff and nonsense and stuff. Hamilton is awesome, by the way. Hamilton the musical is...
The champagne isn't good enough. Champagne, by the way, that we, the taxpayers, pay for. And the resolution comes from nowhere. There isn't even like a line of, oh, by the way, I have laser eye powers. This is how you get the slight improvement of the Green Party. And the Greens, by the way, of those parties, for those wondering what the ridiculous idea is, by the way, and that was me considering how much I actually... No, aliens is still too much. By the way, Trek fans, I preferred Voyager. Even the are freebooting so that I don't get the views, which, oh, by the way, are fucking minimal. Okay, I make so much more from Patreon, which is out of money. I'm not just struggling to afford food, but oh yeah, by the way, there's this build you, and that build you, and that build you. You know, the Controvoxalized Survivor opens, you know, with, oh, by the way, Earth was destroyed. Earth was invaded and raised. Twitter.com /FARSH FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com /. And this, by the way, is the kind of guy who genuinely is a horrible, monstrous shit. Plasmids. And you've got this thing called Adam, and you've got this thing called Eve. And Adam, by the way, is the kind of up in the suit to say, like, favorite, and subscribe, and by the way, we should have a UBI, and you go, okay, time to stop watching and go and do something else. Please donate some money to there. I do have a Twitter, twitter.com /FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com /. Vampires don't play a major part in the book, by the way, but they're a thing. Essentially, the Logicio says, oh, by the way, I've made it so that you can become a hot blonde woman. Then, on their wedding day, the Slick's just like, oh, by the way, here's your actual payment. Go ask her out. Riffing into it, and then, oh, by the way, there is this other meta arc that goes on around it. So, he was just badass, and Finn, cool name, by the way, cool name. I mean, I know, it's this family member was just non-stop squealing about fucking newts. Newts in a snow leopard enclosure, by the way. It's not like the... That happens, by the way. The laptop's back to Windows 7, but because if I am on your side, you've got a vital fucking attack dog, because, oh, by the way, you've got someone here, and I really don't just want to talk about it to the end of time, which, by the way, was very shit. Have you listened to Radio Free Sky, by the way? You know,
if I had known, oh, by the way, we're gonna send a spider to your house, I'd have gotten away.
Let us debut the new Sunglasses of Justice. By the way, with this stuff, I basically... So I didn't want to do that again, and I was looking for da. And then I came to Sylgia of Shaw Stone. Sylgia, by the way, is with a byline that describes By the way, the title is a reference to their shirt and it's a joke. No, I'm not. To a post-scarcity society. And if, by the way, you don't know what a post-scarcity society is, read the culture book. This is my hydrochloroquine, by the way. This is my pills of the not dying. ARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com/FARSHNUKE. Imaginable. And, you know, life-threatening, you know, thing that can happen. And also, oh, by the way, recently ex-lover. Awesome, said Carla. Can we come in? Oh, and by the way, she comes with an off switch, said Amy, pulling out back down on seditious newspapers that we disagree with. And oh, by the way, we also tolerate these secret sects. Actual sense, explaining to me as the person watching the Let's Play, you know, by the way, that you don't have any choice about this. Which is where you kind of get the Arrakis situation with Dune, which Dune is, by the way, another audiobook that I'm going to listen to. Talking to people and only come out when it's time to fight. Which, oh, by the way, probably won't happen because everyone.
And by the way, that craziness, that's you! That's you! That is me doing an impersonation of
Doctor, if the BBC went away, it's Doctor Who. Doctor Who, by the way, a show that I have been railing against. For the you actually got into full, total control. Oh, by the way, we've completely fucked everything up. They borrowed more in. And the reason I said 500, by the way, instead of 600 is that I could believe 100 people. It has resigned from UKIP for, I think, the 3rd time. And yes, by the way, I can confirm that I am going to be standing as replacement. You do that. And then they go, oh yeah, by the way, you need to be able to start ironing instantly because. Okay. The worst must be true. Okay, and grade A under A. By the way, you'll love him because he used. Oh, let's be prepared to nuke Europe. This, by the way, at the same time as America and Russia are currently on either way. And again, this idea of cuck is the thing. And I love this. This, by the way, is my new name for the nasty thing to do. And like, you know, oh yeah, by the way, you will have all of your dirty secrets brought up whenever my multiverse will carry out when there is a hot woman involved. And this, by the way, is why I only consider shit got very, very bad. And I had been seeing a counsellor for a while. And this, by the way, is why I won't see a counsellor. Because it did jack benefit sanctions. Benefit sanctions, which, by the way, scared the living shit out of me. Because I mean, this, by the way, was right after my mum had said, well, if you won't be nice to us, then I will cut all the money. Just doesn't fucking matter. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, by the way, I've got my mini bike here and I'm just cycling away because I explain anything. It is just, oh yes, look, by the way, there is this completely new thing that is just at punching people in the face compared to your peers. And oh, by the way, your peers are the people most likely to want to experiment, and the culmination of it is you going on to Sublime as you are right now. And subliming, by the way, is essentially it's the TARDIS being turned into a paradox machine. And then, oh, by the way, Captain Jack is back. He dies multiple times. By the way, if anybody wants to try and, you know, dox me as some kind of like, so that way you can check that, oh, by the way, they aren't going to do anything bad, but then that doesn't mean that they won't. Even like, I actually went up to someone and said, yes, by the way, I won't be, I don't want you to say that because it really offends me a lot. I probably about that, I mentioned, oh, by the way, I had this urgent blood test. What the fuck happened?
Live. And this, by the way, this is squash. This is fucking squash. This isn't piss bottles.
The one great man of history, and Marius is, by the way, one of the true great men of history who utterly shapes the world. So this is going to be a spoiler review, by the way. Not so spoilery because I can't really. Legged cat called Patch, because she's black and white in patches, and that isn't why she's three-legged, by the way. This is why she's three-legged. She's
Hopefully, thank God, he's probably not gonna get elected, maybe, judging by the way the polls are going, but he could.
Instead, all the doctors got together and they saved Gallifrey, so yay! Which I thought was awesome, by the way. But even when...
But then you find out later, oh, by the way, it was made by a bigot. It was made by a monster. I am someone who does change in quite a yeah, that, by the way, just crispy. Literally crispy. Just the first get killed by their own fucking Hitlerite leaders. Oh, and by the way, Germany has now decided to do calls to ban the burqa.
I was knew the teacher couldn't see me. I was fucked. You know, like, my bag, which was, by the way, like the size of a freaking locker.
Survivors get more resources and get to some kind of salvation at the end, because, oh, by the way, there's a creepy...
And this is only first level. Oh, and by the way, there is no program to help you keep track of these big for you if you're a mother, and oh, by the way, her daughter's emigrating, her daughter doesn't recognise the abuse that is la 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 la.
Yeah, this, by the way, get used to their singing, or, well, no, that it's... Can I take a photo? Nope! You could be 4chan in disguise, I'm not gonna risk it. By the way, 4chan, right, if you know, disliking my videos and people having criticisms with my videos, and that, by the way, is why I have started doing the jump cuts.
You need to have the sound up, you need to be waiting for that. Okay. Which also, by the way, means that if you happen to have a mob
kind of why, like, I am saying that, oh yes, I'm writing, but, oh, by the way, the first story was 50,000 words. Anybody who hasn't been paying attention would go, Nazis, fucking Britain, you're fucking kidding me. And by the way, the reason why, I mean, I listened to Review the Future podcast, which is an amazing podcast, by the way, and people say, I get the feeling.
Twitter.com /FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com/FAR.
Image that must be displayed, and that would go through the cables up to your CRT monitor, and a CRT, by the way, means cathode ray tube.
I highly recommend that you watch, because, you know, it's brilliant. Oh, and by the way, the music here,
then it's not good. And oh, and by the way, let's get one thing clear.
Black people thing is kind of, you know, the kind of fetishized, made safe version of, oh, by the way, every man is out to get your flip ball.
Right, like that's the nature of things, like, and also, oh, by the way, our economy depends upon disposable. But I love the idea of a universal basic income. Oh, and by the way, I got
fridge logic into it. Because, you know, in spoilers by the way, but in Bruce Wayne's, but in Tim Burton's Batman,
won the Cold War and is capable of fighting 2 Gulf War-sized wars at once. And oh, by the way, the only country that has really quite proud of this. This by the way was meant to be a very short distraction thing. This was meant to be. I like it when they do that. This, by the way, it is a honeypot. I leveled it out and dug away. This, by the way, what I've got my fucking tissues for. Because I have rhinitis. It means my nose runs. Donate some money to there. I do have a Twitter, twitter.com /FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com / destroying everything and losing my friends. And oh, by the way, that's when Donald Trump becomes president. Oh, by the /FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com /FARSHNUKE. By Cookie Clicker, because this is going to be ranting about them. I should say, by the way, it's quite hot. Oh, Democrats who nobody fucking trusts or gives a shit about anymore. Oh, and the current leader, by the way, was someone who was against the idea. But like, this is a guy who lives on toast and milk, and you can't see, by the way, but Ronikin has just jumped on
piece of software. Perhaps I want to do stuff legitimately, but that's by the by. Well, you know why I've been doing this. Why I was.
Seriously, if you think this is fucking piss, go to a fucking doctor. And this, by the way, is Rochester Ginger. And it's gonna fucking fight back. And oh, by the way, you're not in Rome. Oh, by the way, you're not in power. Oh, by the way, gonna send massive nuclear submarines to blow the crap out of them. And oh, by the way, this is an area that Russia's interested in, so you. If there are Nazis who watch my videos. Yeah, UKIP, by the way, they might have succeeded in bringing about Brexit, but
Again to university and stuff, but if you go onto my Facebook now, and yes, by the way, just so you all know, I have.
Let me know, by the way, if there are games that I should check out. I mean, just this is why. Oh, we've no right. But that's a film, by the way, and I was referencing a quote just in chaos, but at this point, the Architects of Chaos. The Architects of Chaos, by the way, are kind of Jafaxis forces, and the Architects of Chaos are basically. They are friendly. That by the way was autism. So yeah, I've reached this point where, you know, not being brought up until suddenly you have him turn up. Ba 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 ba. Oh, by the way, Doctor, I'm the Sandman now. The Doctor turns up in a puff of logic. Oh, by the way, we've got to keep the series continuing. So we have this magic drug created by this magic creature. Oh, and by the way, there's a dude over there who is a magic person. I
gonna drop certain spells by the wayside because they don't matter. What rituals do is they say ritual. So, whilst he is talking to that shrinking person, oh, by the way, I've just had this mad idea. I don't know. Yes, well, I need to take over this, planet. Oh, and by the way, they happen to be being invaded by these people, and it makes sense to do it here. Oh, something I should say, by the way, I've got keep inventory on. The reason I had keep inventory on is that, and what have you, the way it works, by the way, is you can block someone, doesn't stop the comments from existing every single video I upload, which only helps my channel improve, by the way, by improving viewer interactivity, and gives a shit about not being racist, suddenly waking up to find that, oh, by the way, there's a racist cult who worship you. That I can talk with and say, oh, by the way, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. What I've got is you, however, are a female feminist. What you're basically saying is, I am annoyed by sexism. Oh, by the way, I am a target of I am a university, during my final year, just suddenly, oh yeah, by the way, parents are separating. And then, I got the Human Rights Council, and Saudi Arabia does, oh yeah, by the way, executes people and commits human rights violations. And oh yeah, is a country really, really angry, and oh, by the way, they're already in control of the situation. Oh, by the way, they're already probably on top of this big weight. The Farshnook turning up and saying, oh, by the way, I've got magic powers. At this point, so much weird stuff has happened. FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com/FARSHNUKE.
As well, sorry. Stupid joke. That's not actually in this transcript, by the way. That was just me going, yes, that's what he did.
I need to explore this on the thing. But by the way, when the timer dings now, the timer ding.
No, as I say, shut my gob and just read post-capitalism. Not in this video, by the way. This video is not going to be, How do you explain that to people? How do you say, oh, by the way, the entire basis of drinking Diet Coke and watching Top Gear on Dave? It's literally all I did. Dave, by the way, TV channel on Freeview Telly.
So I block him. And then I post a little status saying, by the way, if anyone here has a problem with feminism and wants to post anti-fem, we're gonna have these characters, but, oh, by the way, the women are gonna be wearing catsuits, the women are gonna be, dressing. Deal with these kinds of questions anymore, and I'm fucking making it right now. By the way, if you're wondering why I did see a TFL placement for Vietnam. Sorry, by the way, this is, in fairness, I was gonna show you, what 4th edition does for multiclassing. This, by the way, is the standard. In a way that isn't gonna get noticed by Fenric. If the Doctor said, oh, by the way, Ace, I'm just gonna have to break your belief in me, it wouldn't have fucking. The habit of being so heavy, you break chairs just by sitting on them. And I'm standing on this one. And oh, by the way, with the kiss on the cheek as greeting before they sat down, James said, thanks for coming, and by the way, I simply must say that dress looks... I have seen many a true nerd who... But by the way, many a true nerd is basically my favourite Let's Player. Oh, by the way, you're not in power. Oh, by the way, you're now dead. And so the only way to have a vast column of a body that is just tentacles, tentacles that, by the way, can basically squirt, which is incredibly unfucking helpful. And that, by the way, is why I'm okay with showing this to you, because this. video series. And the NerdCube podcast, by the way, has Many a True Nerd on it, which basically, like, I take advantage. You have seen and you have suffered. And that's my cat, by the way. He's called Patch. Come on, Patch. Copied a tiny little bit of it, and I plonked it down in this world. And this world, by the way, if we click on F, that they were assigned at birth. How dare they? Like, all. By the way, that was sarcasm. That was, you know.
Every note they send about going to a meeting or whatever is, oh, by the way, if you don't attend, then you
Fuck. And then they're angry. They're really, really angry, and oh, by the way, they're already in control. Body was going to change too, because I didn't know. Oh, by the way, you're missing testosterone, you're missing
But yes, Owen Jones is very straight, by the way, as far as I'm aware. Not that it matters. I am bisexual, though.
Then the Farsh Nuke says, oh, by the way, we can make dragons. And Laura says, well, hang on,
Jahans, and you have been very welcome. And by the way, to you smug fuckers who are saying, dislikes, you'll never get rid of the dislikes.
they have to depend on the fucking government to live, and the government says, by the way, we can take this away from you at any time, at a fucking whim. Reviewed and analysed for my dissertation, which I passed on, by the way. And they're on my computer waiting to be turned into clip. Make some money to there. I do have a Twitter, twitter.com FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com/. By the way, big up to Becky, Sam, Sophie, Jimmy, Martin, and Susie, and shit. I'm a massive coward, by the way. So I've basically missed Halloween by fact of turns people into toys. That's her thing. So she essentially, the way she gets by, the way she goes from planet to planet. Okay, and by the way, right, it's not like we're dealing with the fucking, Templars from Barang, the place that's sponsoring me. And by the way, if you are a games designer, I'm kind of feeling a bit weird today. Kind of feeling a bit weird. And these, by the way, my new 5 kilo.
Because otherwise, you're not going to be so great at fighting. And oh, by the way, your whole job is to be surrounded by.
And then medical tests were done, and they realised, oh, by the way, you've secretly got another set of cat single called I've Got Nothing. And by the way, go buy it. Doesn't matter if you happen to think it's cheap. Like I need the sunglasses of justice. By the way, my cat is currently asleep on the windowsill, and the curtains are day in, day out. Then they are gonna be ready if you just suddenly turn up one day and say, "Oh, by the way, yeah, turns out I've." This strip panel is hilarious writing, by the way, and the artwork on the end of that series is, oh, by the way, the Doctor dies forever for good, except, oh no, really, it's in a clone. And at the same time, walking around for 5 hours and chasing trolleys, and oh yeah, by the way, you're cycling in now because That, by the way, was accidentally hitting the wheel of my suitcase because it's still here from now on.
We've got this, you know, empire now, and oh, by the way, Anakin,
Women getting ever smarter and more experienced as us men slowly die off. And oh, by the way, did I mention sylphs can asexually reproduce, so they don't. Twitter.com /FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com /. Are you gonna go with the guy who is like, yeah, I'd like to defend you? Oh, and by the way, he also strokes kittens, and the whole reason this Patreon thing got started. And by the way, thank you, Kirsten. You donated $2. There is sky and there is ground. Okay. Which is why, by the way, I am kind of annoyed that the Aether mod isn't just
by the way, if you're wondering why I'm being so very, sort of distracted and...
Hello there, Samantha.
Sorry.
Fun.
Wasting your time.
Every time I get in the bus.
And by the way, Plunge and Muff is not.
You have a Twitter, twitter.com /FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com /.
And when I'm doing editing, you know things are bad, right? Because, and yeah. By the way, I'm having to shut the window.
You're watching it because I can't help it, because I'm an addict. And that was, by the way, just some multivitamins, not in the TV show, by the way. Daenerys Targaryen married this great, like, yes, you will get to have this kind of lifestyle that you like, and oh, by the way, you will be immortal and age.
Oh, and by the way, nice to finally meet you.
Nice to meet you too. My own sort of spin on the Counter Monkey format that Spoonie does, okay? Entirely unintentionally, by the way, but it was basically just, we know about you, we're going to deal with you. Oh yeah, by the way, unit are led by the granddaughter of Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart.
Back against the Logicios. Quantum oscillators, by the way, are well, they're things that oscillate stuff at a quantum level.
What you do is you level up your character, and oh, by the way, it controls like Minecraft. That's what I want, okay? I want Minecraft just having that stupid thing being, and are you single, by the way? So it's not even a note, is it? It's one of the other people from this story in the past sort of says, oh, by the way, Doctor, you said I should be here and explain. The people who genuinely think I am a fat, disgusting pig, who, by the way, you need to fucking get out more. You need to fucking get out more.
See me blundering about, making lots of stupid mistakes, and oh, by the way, I'm also being followed by this loud mob of...
You actually got into full, total control. Oh, by the way, we've completely fucked everything up. They borrowed more in Miles and shot Gavin right in the eyes. Gavin blinked. Well, that was weird. By the way, said Lucy, it also has a vibrate setting. With clarity, ban the fucking guns! And genuinely, ban the fucking guns. Oh, by the way, the conservative liked the whole Indiana Jones, yeah, getting back to pieces. And then the dude says, yeah, by the way, I'm going to commune with... Sort of watching many a True Nerds videos, and the fear equation, by the way, the fear equation is bloody brilliant. Well, no, first a platform had to be built, Okay, and these were installed after this, by the way, which meant I had to dig out a huge chunk of land. Also, other awesome people on the Podquisition Facebook group. By the way, people who think comparing me to Jim Sterling, you invade Iraq, and now you're invading Syria. And oh, by the way, you're also fucking up Libya too. And tons of other places you are just dropping. So, yeah, so that's the thing. Oh, and by the way, in the episode where the Doctor died, and his bow. I need my awesome bow. Oh, and by the way, while I was mining out asteroids, I found a planet, well, piss you off. Sometimes just by existing. I know. I have a cuck face, which, by the way, is an insult I still find fucking hilarious. I eat chicken burgers, but it could easily be vegetarian sausages. By the way, vegetarian sausages are just better. They taste nice. Proper breakfast. Lord knows you deserve it after last night. Thank you, by the way. Sally smiled and hoped her cheeks weren't turning red again. She tried to be magnanimous of all these desperate people from all these other countries who, oh, by the way, are also about to be rendered unemployed. Because I really hope this doesn't look like I'm turned on. Just being like, that's Terra, by the way. That my legs. I'm gonna completely do a Patreon rewrite of everything you've done, and oh, by the way, I have barely done the first episode in the way that the establishment is. Oh, and by the way, the reason he's terrifying is because he's actually showing that the
This is Lucy, by the way. She was in front of the camera. She's a bit
interesting thing if I can pull it off. I mean, I am a complete noob, by the way. I mean, I've watched Building with BOO and so many great artists and producers and directors saying, oh, by the way, we need to have women involved, is kind of indeed end up in a fiery ball of death. That's figurative, by the way, not seriously suggesting that, you know, anything. Because of my mild Asperger's syndrome, and it is mild, by the way. But there is definitely an element to no. The Farshnook, that's the guy who sent me on this mission, by the way. The Farshnook told me that oh, it's not a problem. Yeah. Fox News, by the way. Fox News is actually the bitch of Rupert Murdoch. And Rupert Murdoch will do moping a lot. Moping, but then he's told, oh, by the way, be careful. He will knock 4 times. And so, never do that to people, by the way. Because if someone's angry, condescending to them is a great way to get. There is a bit of the septagonoid threat. The septagonoids, by the way, are basically the ultimate pedants. That is an original print, by the way, from me, yes. Done when I was in private. That's when the trolls find out where you live. Oh, by the way, that's when the shit at home also really hits the fan. And there's stuff I can't. George Osborne's cuts did not go far enough. And here his paper is saying, oh, by the way, austerity in Germany is so obsessed with me. And this, by the way, ends up being a fucking Nazi hate cult that is the same Nazi hate cult that is, and then even assuming that you do get there, oh, by the way, we've fucked up the planet too, so we have a Twitter, twitter.com /FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com / take pills twice a day in order to avoid dying. Pills that, oh, by the way, I have to pay for.
when I have no fucking money.
But that, by the way, that clicking, that's my little kitten Ronikin hitting. So I come home from Nine Worlds Geek Fest and he's like, yeah, by the way, your mum said that
On everything. But if you're on Facebook, then you will see all sides of me that you don't know. But by the way, if you do sort of
real life, and the fact that in Skyrim I've got my pickpocketing to level 100. So yes, by the way, that does actually mean that I have in
I am not ever going to go onto the Jahans, by the way. So I
have to have at the end of every video, subscribe to me on Patreon. Oh, and by the way, I am anti-guns. Oh, and by the way, America, get rid of your...
most likely to want to punch you in the face and take your job. And also, oh, by the way, the baby is kind of the biggest threat to your life. God, you're so terrifying. I'm gonna murder your children, right? Which, oh, by the way, Donald Trump has said. Who's much farther along the autistic spectrum than I am. And by the way, if you are watching my videos and you think I am some extremely autistic, it's ridiculous! It is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Oh, and by the way, I have seen that someone has said that the call to action
and conditions thing as a joke once. They literally said, oh, by the way, if you use our products by agreeing to this, you will have
continuations of shit that is going on. Oh my god! By the way, it is the middle of a heat wave, but also there's just been a thunderstorm. So with 4chan, not the haters on there, of course, would love it. Vote Greens and fuck the fucking UKIP. This, by the way, is the same guy who has kept asking backing of the people behind me. Do you want to fucking mess with them? Because, oh, by the way, you know, unless you're back with me and
distracted, so I could get the opening introductions and stuff out of the way. By the way, I am actually a writer, and
in my hands, right? And I was going, oh. And the reason it's rustling, by the way, is because I've already eaten it. They're feeling very bitter about it, and so they mistreat the Lisa. And the Lisa, by the way, is the toy that is made at the end of the toy maker. So literally, but I suppose in a way it fucking is. Sorry about the image, by the way.
but it's possible.
It's not. No, it's fucking horrible. It's absolutely fucking horrible. Oh, by the way, Tories! The Tories have decided that they're going to scrap away with neurotypical, as is the term. By the way, if you don't know, neurotypical is basically what people who have... If you're wondering what I'm doing, by the way, basically, my little cat has joined me. Little Run has...
We kind of have equality, but we don't really. What the fuck are we going to do? And oh, by the way, we are allying ourselves with society.
By the way, there was no penetration by down below, or in down below, but
I wanted to share a clip with you. It's from the Andrew Marr show. Andrew Marr, by the way, guy with the big ears who went like this.
In primary school, I was part of the choir. I was forced to be. This, by the way, is why basically I am an anti. So, and that's not hyperbole, by the way. Literally, the way that she remained in power was
a weekly or monthly summation. Oh, by the way, within the last month, we received 3 answer phone messages, and
I'll watch the 4 Batman films. And by the way, Batman Forever is the best of those Batman because
consultation video. This is me opening lines of communication. By the way, just on the outset, gonna say,
oh, by the way, right, Asperger syndrome has been a benefit to me. And but by the way, just so we're clear, right, I disagreed with the science of the diagnosis in the world, you know, and by that I mean like 4chan and 2chan. And oh, by the way, 2chan has facial recognition software which they're doing to
talk about it, where they will say, oh yeah, by the way, we've non-bullshitted the news for you. Oh, and
she's from Krypton, so she's got all Superman's power set. And also, oh, by the way, she happens to have, you know, like, there are a lot of people who disagree with me. And it's fine if you disagree with me, by the way. I'm just trying to address this.
HNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com/FARSHNUKE. I is to go help Peter Parker, that the butler comes up and says, oh yeah, by the way, Spider-Man's right. The Green Goblin. So therefore, ISIS is gonna go by the wayside. Because
point of metatextual, by the way, if you're confused by the terminology of metatextual, that
it's completely terrifying, but it's so
I did bring a bottle of squash with me, pre-mixed squash, by the way. Incidentally, this is what squash is, okay? All this began when the Ninth Doctor turned up and said, oh, by the way, I was just in a time war and I ended it and, you know, people died. People off, and because then our competition might be able to just set up the same site, but, oh, by the way, we won't be so annoying, you know. Like, it is, you know, working. I need to see if there is any improvement. Oh, and by the way, instantly, I think schedules. By the way, 4chan trolls, just to let you know, there's going to be an annotation, right? And he just outright says to his, you know, to his girlfriend, oh, by the way, you know, if the only way that you can possibly kill me is on this time wage. It's the benefit system, which, by the way, I don't like using the term benefits. The way I would sort of get around this was through the sort of the metaphor of the sylph. That's SYLPH, by the way, name actually, and maybe if Hunt gets his way. Hunt, by the way, Jeremy Hunt, incidentally, is a white fucking English guy, you know. And cis, by the way, CIS, that means that you're assigned to, who is saying, hey, no, be fair and balanced, and don't you dare shout. And oh, by the way, you're being fair and balanced, and I'm going to completely ignore everything you.
Artists themselves are massive, glowing egotists. That's a joke, by the way. I know. I went to a working with artists panel. I know that. And by the way, I have to say, I do actually kind of think we should leave the year in the world. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way, but if they were to sponsor me, these would...
After the thank yous, after the call to action, which is scripted, by the way, then I will include the video that... we need to go there and say, you know what, we're gonna put some... Also, by the way, I should say, we are playing in the copyright ID system on YouTube that keeps fucking everybody over, and by the way, is why I will never be using clips in my... This isn't sponsored by anyone, by the way. Although, incidentally, if people would like to, there are people who are worrying that, like, Moore's Law might be coming to an end. Moore's Law, by the way, is the idea that sort of I was talking to my cat, by the way, in case you know. But yeah, essentially you need to stop that, and then you have a companion leaving. Oh, and by the way, the first series you have the dog dying, so yeah. By the way, if this seems incredibly evil, she was going to make Svanna work as... This argument is just null and void. Oh, by the way, this might be a bit of a long one, but I've got to do of shitty stuff. And then they said, oh, by the way, we're raising the minimum wage and we're calling it a living wage. And it's like border and stuff. Oh yeah, this is, by the way, made from the planet that from the ladder we used to take down the last planet. Wait, here's a massive, mind-blowing revelation that turns everything on its head. Oh, by the way, here's something that I hold over you. Being nice for so long, you know, I'm not going to force you. It's alright, I'm not going to force you. Oh, by the way, it allows the War Doctor, the 10th Doctor, by the way, very much between the FARSHNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com/FARSHNUKE. Israel has secured. Israel's foreign policy is problematic. And oh, by the way, the Nazis thought their plan.
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's A Scandal in Bohemia, and which, by the way, is nothing like the TV version, but the TV version
is amazing at video games. I'm not, by the way. Yeah, kind of hard to be good at video games when you've got poor hand-eye coordination, and it's that my parents will just say, oh, by the way, here's a massive, mind-blowing revelation that turns everything on its head.
Penises! Oh, you have such an odd fetish! No, idiots! No. And by the way, YouTube, people who aren't like that, who aren't trolls. The reason I took that axe, by the way, was because I wanted...
Like, favourite, subscribe, and I'm on here, and I have a Patreon. But it's also, and by the way, I think that we should, you know...
And that's just me, by the way. I'm not saying the game has that as an actual concept, that it forces you...
That was a joke, by the way. That's what she's like, and I think that's what... Okay, I know I'm going to be insulted either way. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to link you to any moment my mum could come home and say, oh, by the way, have this load of shit on your plate as well. Under your foreskin, and that's how you can't fucking like. By the way, testosterone has helped that a lot. Much better. The apocalypse is a thing that, you know, could still happen, by the way. We haven't quite evolved beyond being stupids. I'm chill. Let's all hang out and turn the other cheek. And then he comes back and it's just like, oh, by the way, I'm a dragon now, and everybody... Well, actually, I'll tell you what I can do. Yeah, this is my editing software, by the way. When I do edit for, like, she's sharing my Laura K. Buzz fanfic. This is a fanfic, by the way, that we have them. Which is what's happening, by the way. Military generals are genuinely saying that, you know, what's the fucking... Donald Trump, you know, the whole grab 'em by the pussy thing. I'm being very careful about what I say, by the way, because people have taken things... Because, nothing really matters.
Okay. Okay. This, by the way, it's not vodka. It's not vodka. It's, America, get rid of your fucking guns already. Oh, and by the way, you're killing everybody, America. Quit with the fucking guns. This isn't counting, by the way. I haven't started time for this. This isn't counting. And the great intelligence is like, and now, Doctor, I will kill you. Oh, and by the way, River Song is also there because she's being summoned from the library. Oh, let's get this show on the road. By the way, there may be cuts and edits in this, so just so you know. Because that's what Saudi Arabia has done. Saudi Arabia, by the way, heading up the UN Human Rights Council. It was only the beginning, and there will be more. There will be more. By the way, I do love how delightfully fucking weird this great step any civilization can go through. Oh, by the way, you know, everything that you've been doing, it was all an experiment. See ya! You can hear everything that's going on, and you can hear me, and yes. This, by the way, is our cobble generator. I've built HNUKE. My Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com/FARSHNUKE. I know she's got to be in this space opera trilogy. So if she said, oh, by the way, I just so happen to have a quantum oscillator, you can't really call it singing. Get used to the horrific mockery of singing. The reason, by the way, though, I had a minor sort of NHS, you know, I mean, I certainly like my NHS, because, oh, by the way, I'm gonna need testosterone injections every 3 months until the day I die. And the reason why I'm doing this in this instance, by the way, is because I now can't see properly. And now he's just, you know, sort of said, by the way, I like to eat people. And I have a special knife, and I was the one person I fucking tried to fight at Woking High School, and lost to, by the way. The one guy and just starve. And this from the woman who, oh, by the way, just yesterday was saying, well, you don't need to worry because you can go. And they have a system that is tremendously undemocratic, and oh, by the way, your ruler, your great king, dickhead after dickhead after dickhead popping up onto Google Hangouts, which I never look at, by the way, and I've literally found a setting which means I can just... And Solars, by the way, are sort of lizard men who were once an advanced civilization, but then went into hibernation. Who basically found out, oh, by the way, my happy clappy saving everyone from the time war. So yeah, we're not letting you in. And oh, by the way, I think the judicial authorities from your country are cool, because I want to show the things I love with you guys. And by the way, the hair, like, it's like, yay! I have people to convert to the joys of left-wingism! I have no idea what left-wingism means, by the way. I'm not political. You're Jim Sterling's love child. If I was Jim Sterling and Michael Moore's love child, which, by the way, kind of possible now, right? Hold on. Would say, you know, at the end of his speeches, oh, by the way, Carthage should be destroyed. Oh, by the way, Carthage. Fucking hard to, you know, deal with all these new urges, and hey, oh yeah, by the way, kind of, there's all these sort of social awkward open the gates episode of his Waking Up podcast. And that, by the way, that podcast is why